yesterday, you addressed the nation.
That is true.
On a vexed matter of this controversial cathedral that the Exwell administration or the former president, that's Nana Addo Akufo Addo, had to, or in his view, do to thank God as a promise for winning the elections, because that was what he said in clear terms. Now we got to know how much at the time. This was some 2022. So when the former finance minister appeared before that Central Committee in Parliament, the figure that was put to how much has been spent on this cathedral site is $58 million.
Yes.
Now you give us an update of what the Deloitte audit report revealed. That we probably may have spent more than that. We visited the cathedral site just a week ago, and this is what we saw. We put it on the screen, just for our viewers to have a clear idea of what is happening at the cathedral site. There's nothing happening. The dugouts and the foundations that have been created have collected rainwater. There's virtually no activity as we speak. But then we spent, from what we're hearing now, you put the figure to what? $97 million. This is the updated figure, $97 million on this, the site alone. Does that mean that this figure doesn't include the, and Mr. Kwaku, so I'll start with you on this for good reason. This figure doesn't include the compensation and the resettling of, for instance, the passport office, the scholarship secretariat, the Mali embassy, the Malian ambassador's residence. We had also COMSIS, a private firm, and then also we had a real estate developer who even took government to court at some point, also had their offices demolished. We had the deputy Shraj boss also having the residence demolished at the same location, and some 11 judges, residence also demolished. All of that cost of resettling these people and companies has not been added to the $97 million. No. I see. Let's get into it.
First of all, let me clarify that the $97 million figure is not the matter broached by the report, the audit report.
Okay.
I know that because the contractor has submitted payment certificates to the finance minister to pay him. And before we came to power, the conventional knowledge was that the whole cost $58 million. And that is as far as available information could lead us to. So that $58 million has been paid. But we came into power to meet payment certificates of $39 million being demanded by the contractor. And you see, if you put it together, that's $97 million. To put it in perspective, $97 million is $3 million more than the amount it cost to construct the Pokwase interchange. So you can compare the Pokwase interchange to what you have here on your screen to see whether it is money well spent. $97 million is also almost half of what was used to build the University of Ghana Medical Center. So you can look at that edifice, half of it, and compare it to what you have here and see whether it is the best use we could have put our money to. But I need to offer some clarifications even before I delve into the report. First of all, this Deloitte and Touche report was not commissioned by the government of Ghana. So when I speak about forensic audit, there are some who have said, oh, if government has commissioned audit already, why do you want another forensic audit? No. This was commissioned by the National Secretariat, the National Cathedral Secretariat itself.
Oh, I see.
Yes. So even that alone raises, it is purely for internal consumption. It is allowed. They can pick them as the auditors. It is standard. I'm sure you have auditors who are the But the government of Ghana has not done anything of the sort. Number two, let me also clarify that no decision has been taken to convert the National Cathedral into a convention center or a cultural center. the 24-hour Economic Secretariat, as part of their engagement, they received a proposal from an organization. It's actually a continental body, who said that if they were minded, they could invest some money into converting the sites into their offices and then build a convention center for government or the state. That's what the proposal is. But it is not a decision that government has taken.
Okay.
That must be put on record. I heard that people had said that we had made a U-turn. And I can assure you that indication I have is that the president is committed to the position he took in opposition about the future of this. But we can only go into that after a forensic audit has become available and we have all the facts. Okay. Now, what had happened was that I think sometime last week or early this week, some MPP personalities began to make claims that there has been an audit which has exonerated the Board of Trustees and, if you like, the National Cathedral Secretariats. They didn't publish the reports. They only put out snippets and sought to create a certain impression. But this is not a report commissioned by government. But as government, we have it. Because the local government minister who has jurisdiction over these matters requested for copies of the report, and he was served. Now, if you look into this report, there's nothing that exonerates anybody. This is what has happened. It's a mischievous conflation of financial statements or audit of financial statements with an audit of the project. So, TV3, you have auditors. Every year you publish your financial statement. So the law requires you to file audited financial statements. So the financial statement simply, indeed, if you look at let me take the, and I have all the reports here, including the financial statements.
I see.
And the management letter, and I'll come to that. So if you pick this one, December 2022, if you go to the table of contents, corporate information, report of the directors, statement of directors' responsibilities, independent auditors report on the financial statement, statement of financial performance, statement of financial position, statement of changes in net assets equity, statement of cash flows, notes to the financial statements. So you present the financial statements. The reason why it has to be audited is so that you don't make what they call misstatements.
Right.
So for instance, you say that, oh, TV3, you bought a car for your operations, $100,000. You will present a receipt. You will list it as part of your assets. When the auditor comes and you show him the receipt, he says, okay, yes, you've stated it correctly. That is entirely separate from looking into whether the vehicle actually cost $100,000.
Right.
That one will come in a management report. You understand me? So all the financial statements that the likes of Kingsley, what do you call it? Nyako, is that the name? The MP for Odan was putting out, did not capture the essence of the findings.
Right.
If you want to see what has happened, you look at the management letter. In fact, before I go there, even this report, if you look at page 10 of the 2022 report, for instance, the auditors disavow the information that was provided them. Let me read portions of it to you. If you look at point 3, it says, the company's statement of financial position and statement of financial performance are not in agreement with the accounting records and returns for some sections, as noted in the basis of disclaimer of opinion section. But this is harmless information. If you want to know the meat, you go to the management letter. And let me read you the cover letter that transmitted this report to the cathedral, not government. It says, management letter of National Cathedral of Ghana for the years ended 31st December 2021 to 31st December 2022 and 31st December 2023. We have completed the audit of National Cathedral of Ghana, which was conducted in accordance with international standards on auditing, into brackets ISAs. Those standards require that we plan and perform the audit to obtain reasonable assurance that the annual financial statements are free of material misstatements, but not for the purpose of expressing an opinion on the effectiveness of the entity's internal control. An audit is conducted to enable us form and express an opinion on the financial statements that have been prepared by management with the oversight of the board. The audit of the financial statements does not relieve management or the board of their responsibilities. So the mere audit of the financial statement itself doesn't mean that there was no wrongdoing. It only says there are no misstatements. At least the figures we gave us, they tally. However, if you look at the details of the management letter, the management letter allows the auditor to point out flaws and shortcomings and irregularities and non-compliance with regulation. And after all the while that we were in opposition, these were the things that we were complaining about. When Honorable Ablakwa waged his campaign, he put out evidence of procurement breaches, of financial irregularities, of payments that are not explained. These are the same things that this management letter points to. This morning, I have seen a letter put out by the National Cathedral Secretariat, which, by the way, as of 1st May, has been scrapped. In fact, the payment of salaries to the staff of that secretariat, which used to be at the Flagstaff House, was stopped on 29th April 2025. So they have not, in fact, since we came to power, nobody has showed up as a staff of the National Secretariat. So they don't test. If you come to the Flagstaff House, there's no unit there called National Secretariat. So that must be put on.
Okay, so since you came to power, none of them?
None of them.
So why did you pay them in January, February?
No,
March?
but they drew salary because they needed to find out what was happening. So the moment we noticed, we stopped it. And the local government minister wrote to us. But that's a matter that you can look into later.
Indeed.
No. For the secretariat itself. But you see, the board of trustees, because they are incorporated by limited guarantee, you have to go through legal processes to be able to. So, and
they didn't have funding. If they had funding, you couldn't have stopped.
Exactly.
So
the Attorney General will trigger the processes to ensure. But you see, they claim in their statements that we have merely published management letters and that we have conveniently ignored their responses. You see, they create the impression that a management letter is an audit query. You see, when they are doing the audit, they will come and ask you, after this your heart, you say you bought it 2 CDs, but we found out that it was 1 CD. What is your response? That is an audit query. But in a management letter, yes, you said you bought it 2 CDs, but it's 1 CD. Then you come and explain that, no, I bought it for 2 CDs. Okay, where is the receipt? If you provide the receipt, they will say that, oh, it is fully explained. If you don't provide, they will say that you were not able to show evidence. So that stands as an irregularity. Now let me come to you. I'm going to read to you verbatim, and I plead with you to allow me so that light is shed. There's too much ignorance, falsehood, and propaganda going on. So I'm going to read you about 4 to 5 pages. It will be quick. You understand me? To show you the importance of this management letter and what it exposes. For instance, one of the issues that they detected was that the total consultancy fees paid to the architect, which is Ajayi and Associates. Now, the office of the president was the one that procured Ajayi without going through any procurement process, by the way, which is a breach of the law. Because these are public funds. Even though they were limited by guarantee, once public funds go in there, they must go through due process. They didn't go through due process. The office of the president says they paid 113 million Ghana cedis. David Ajayi says they paid 117.9 million Ghana cedis. So there's a difference of 4.9 million. Now, the management response, this is what the National Cathedral told the auditors. Ajayi Associates confirmed that total consultancy fees paid to it is 113 million Ghana cedis. Now, Deloitte's response to this claim, and I'm going to read it to you, they say, as part of our audit procedures, we received responses to our confirmation from both the Office of the President on March 26, 2024, and also from Sir David Ajayi and Associates, also on 20th May 2024. A detailed review of their responses is highlighted on Appendix 1 on page 60 to 61, and we've put out this audit report. If you go to page 60 and 61, they put out documents that they received from the Office of the President and Ajayi and Associates. They said that these documents confirm that it was 117.9 million that was paid to the Office of the President. And they even break down the payments. One was 87.9 million, the other was 29.6 million, and another 369,000 Ghana cedis. If you put it together, it is 117.9 million Ghana cedis. Yet, the cathedral, without providing any documentation or proof, says Ajayi confirmed receiving 110. How did they do that confirmation? So to merely say that your responses were taken, your responses were taken and it's not being published, does not mean that you have answered the matter satisfactorily. I'll go to another point where they raise the issue of the total contract sum. So contract amount to the contractor. It says, we also noted differences regarding the contract amount, excluding tax and levies, for Rebade JV, contractor of the project, during our audit work. Below are the variances. amount per executed agreement, that is the agreement that the National Cathedral entered into with the contractor, was $261.965 million. Now, the Office of the President says that the contract sum was $286.465 million. Now, in August 2024, there was a progress report produced by the Cathedral itself, which says the contract sum was $268.5 million. Now, when the contractor raised interim payment certificates to the finance minister to pay, they quoted a contract sum of $283.23 million. Now, the management responded. The contract value, as per, they responded to the query, and it is captured in the manual letters. The contract value, as per the executed agreement between the National Cathedral Board and everybody, is $261.965 million. Now, listen to Deloitte's response. Deloitte has not received any additional information, clarification from management, as at the date of signing of the audit report, to enable reconciliation of the different contract amounts above to the finance charges and interest management stated in their response. So they did respond, but it's not satisfactory. They didn't provide any evidence to refute this finding. I'll give you another one. Now, differences in mobilization fees. It's 0.1.4. Observation. This is what the auditors found. During the audit, we noted the following inaccuracies concerning the actual fees paid to consultants as mobilization fees, quote unquote. Details. Confirmation response from the Office of the President. They said the amount paid was $89,000. Letter from Sir David Ajayi and Associates on 13th August 2020. They said they were paid $950,000. So the difference is $861,000. Now, what was the response of government? The contract was signed between the Office of the President and Ajayi Associates. The board and secretariat are not privy to official communication explaining the variation in the mobilization amount. How is this a response to this variation? So what did Deloitte say? Based on Appendix C, free payment schedule on page 47 of the contract dated 20th August 2019 between the government of Ghana and Sir David Ajayi and Associates Limited, the mobilization amount captured therein is $1.5 million. Management has also not provided the appropriate audit evidence for us to verify which of the two amounts is correct. Then finally, the final illustration. Now, there's also the issue of additional works that was done. Additional work not captured in... So you sign a contract. You want to do additional work. You don't make provision for that additional work in the contract or through an addendum. We noted that the expenses listed below were incurred by Sir David Ajayi and Associates for variation order 1, 2, and 3. The cost incurred was for design variation involving 350-seater restaurant, museum extension, and Bible museum fit-out, and biblical gardens infrastructure. Below are the details of the various costs, so they list all the costs. Now, management did respond. Now, listen to the response of Deloitte to the response of management. Management shared the agreements for the variations 1 and 2 with us following our review. We noted the following. The original signed contract states on paragraph 5, and they state what it captures. Variation orders 1 and 2 has only been signed by Dr. Paul Opoku Mensah and not both parties as required. See Appendix 4 on page 70, and they provide evidence of this. Right. So this claim that their responses were not factored in is immaterial. The auditors have made damning findings, but the reason why this one cannot be taken anywhere is that they are internal auditors. Again, they also don't explain how the discrepancies have arisen. So it is only a forensic audit. And you see, people have said, oh, Deloitte and Touch is an international organization, so they are superior to the Auditor General of Ghana. That is the height of ignorance.
Oh, no.
The Auditor General is by law required to look into every public expenditure.
Yes.
They are also mandated to ask any partners that they find to conduct a forensic audit. So it is entirely possible that they will ask Deloitte to do the forensic audit. Now, what the forensic audit will do is that they will find out why the variations have occurred, where the money went. And the Auditor General has power to search it, like Dobenovo was doing, and recommend further action. When they do that, it will come to Parliament. So the Public Accounts Committee will look at it, and then they will recommend prosecution or some action. Let me also state that even as this audit is going on, the National Investigations Bureau, EOCO, and others are all also probing the National Cathedral. So let me tell you what President Mama says should be done. I was talking to you about the scrapping of national secretariat. It doesn't exist. The board of trustees will be dissolved using legal procedure because they are limited by guarantee. Number 3, the president asked that this report be published. So yesterday, the moment I finished the briefing, I gave it to all the media people, and I noticed that you've published it. So everybody listening to me can go and read it.
They said, where is the full one?
This is the full one. This is the full report.
The one that came, it doesn't have the actual accounts. They say they don't want to read them.
No. This, you see, there are financials. I have 4 of them.
But only one. We saw the management report.
Yes.
But the accounts itself.
Which accounts? No, there's nothing here. These are only financial statements. That's
yes,
it.
that one.
That one too. In fact, that one too has been put out. In fact, that one, the MPP has actually put it out. I can give the copies. It's not a problem at all.
Yes.
But that doesn't disclose anything.
Yeah,
it doesn't disclose
want
anything.
to read that one.
No problem.
They want to analyze that
I can give this to you when I'm leaving. It doesn't disclose anything. If you want to find out what findings they made, it is this one.
They said they want the financial account.
But that one, the MPP itself has put it out. The no problem. The National Cathedral Secretariat, they commissioned it. It was presented to them. It was addressed to them. They can put it out. You understand me? But the president also says that, you see, it is true that Deloitte has done this. They pointed out wrongdoing. But it is not forensic. They don't find out why this has happened and what sanctions should be applied. It is a forensic audit that can determine that. And that's why the president says that the Attorney General, the Finance Minister, and the Auditor General should immediately band together and commission a forensic audit so that they will look at, so that when you say that this your heart was 1 CD or 2 CDs, but we saw that it was 1 CD. We won't leave at that. We will check with the person you bought it from what went wrong to allow for that discrepancy of 1 CD. And then we determine that you've engaged in criminality. So such and such sanctions should be applied to you. So Alfred, I beg you, and the reason why I'm calling on you is that you are the media. Don't allow people who support dissipation of public funds, who support, why? How can anybody, an MP, worth a sort, publicly defend violation? Indeed, if you check one of the pages here, the auditors list 15 violations of our procurement law. 15 violations of our procurement law. How does an MP who sits in parliament endorse this violation and say that people have been cleared? And indeed, I'm also very disappointed in some media practitioners who exhibited shocking levels of ignorance. I want to rule out mischief, but it was shocking that they actually went on national television and claimed that people had been exonerated because the National Cathedral Secretariat issued a statement after they selectively put out the financial statements, which disclose nothing.
So it is the management report.
And indeed, you see, I have been following. Let me tell you something. Since I became actively involved in politics, one of the first things I did was to join the CGA. We took it upon ourselves to review the Auditor General's report annually. The Auditor General, when they does a report, they send what they call management letters to the entities involved. That is where they raise the issues and then make recommendations on how to resolve some of the weaknesses that they have determined. So if you read an audit report without going for the management letter, you are wasting your time.
Okay. You see,
the management letter without the...
It is not a problem. I'm saying that one, those who are saying that they have the what do you call it, the financial statements already.
You see,
but compare it to the management report and see.
So, but then again, I can understand the point that you see, people comes from that the statement of account will give some further and better.
No. See, let me explain what the statement of account. So, for instance, let me use this.
I think the management report captures period of.
So it was an audit of 3 years of operations. The financial statements are that they are issued annually at the end of every financial year. It is standard. So, for instance, when you look at it, they will give you figures. So, and this is based purely on what the National Cathedral gives them. It doesn't probe the truth behind the figures. It is the management letter that tells you that after I reviewed.
Mr. Forson, they said they want to read, so let's leave it at that.
But he's asking a question. So, for instance, Government of Ghana support donations for institutions. Note 4, they state the amount. So, the auditor will see if the figures add up. Even as Sabi says that, oh, okay, there are no misstatements. But even in this report, as I read to you, they indict them because they say that the figures they provided does not correspond to the accounting information that they are supposed to give them. So nobody can take solace in this. The management report is the real meat. The management letter is the real meat, and that will form the basis of further probing into this matter.
But you see, you highlight a number of things, and you see the management letter that, or the report to management within that 3-year period highlight a number of things that you point out, and that's what we're going to put on the screen right now.
Sure.
The bloated and unclear project cost. The one that stood out was this $4.9 million dollars discrepancy between.
No, that was 4.9 million cedis.
That the money is paid to David Ajayi and so it's for the consultancy for the design as architectural work on this cathedral, the massive financial irregularities, and the double dipping and duplicate roles.
Yes.
The questionable loan deals.
Exactly.
That's
So, for instance,
the GNS Talent Center.
Exactly. For instance, you have an entity dealing with public funds. A member of the board of trustees unilaterally decides without documentation, without due process, says that I've given you 2.6 million Ghana cedis as loan, use it. And then later, public funds are taken and used to pay for the loan. When no evidence exists, first of all, of the granting of the loan, because no agreement exists. How do you accept this narration as something that we should run with when overseeing such a major national project? So when the auditor flags this and says that no, further insight must be provided, how do you say that you've been exonerated?
Okay, but you see...
Look at the project cost. So we are doing a project. The contract that we've signed with the contractor to execute it, we don't know, depending on who you are. And in fact, if you look at this document, they provide 4 separate documents.
Okay.
What the Office of the President says, what the cathedral says, what the progress report says, and what the contractor, when going to demand money from the finance minister, says is the cost. How do we live with this? And how does this amount to an exoneration?
I shall protect the public purse.
In the end, what the
purse.
people who are watching us right now are interested in is that if there's establishment of the mismanagement of funds and corruption, there has to be retrieval.
Absolutely.
All right.
So,
but you do that only with the forensic audit done by
when is the forensic audit?
Oh, immediately. The process are being undertaken.
Okay.
So the auditor general just needs, what they call it, a request to carry it out. That's all.
Okay, because this National Cathedral was captured in the oral preparatory team's report, correct?
Yes.
Absolutely.
In fact, it's one of the cases. It's one of the cases. You see, it's one of the 280 or so cases that are being investigated.
Yes.
So the reason why we've actually kept quiet as a government is that we want the investigation to go on.
Yeah.
But it was because of the noises that these MP people were making that prompted us to put out the full facts. In fact, in addition to this, there's even another report compiled for the attention of the local government minister, which I have here, which details further wrongdoing.
So then, if established beyond reasonable doubt, then after the forensic audit, there would be retrieval
and prosecution. Yes,
prosecution
and then
retrieval.
A firm decision on the future of the site will be taken.
So,
but I can assure you that not a dime of public funds under the watch of President Mahama is going into this project. None. So any public funds that are used on this will turn it into something that all the people of Ghana would agree is vital for the forward march of our country.
Okay, so as we speak, no decision has been taken as to what this site is going to be used for.
That no decision has been taken to use it for a cultural center, a convention center, or anything. None whatsoever. But the decision that is firm, as I speak to you now, is that the 15.73 acres of land, which will run into tens of millions of dollars if you were to sell it on the open market, will not see a dime of public funds that is aimed at building a church or any form of religious edifice under President Mahama. And let me put it on record, at a personal level, I am implacably opposed to the whole idea of this National Cathedral. You know, it was done by President Akufo Addo with a view to courting favor from religious fundamentalists for electoral reasons. He says that he went to the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem. And I have been there. When you go there, they let you write something on paper and insert it into a hole in a wall. And then you wear a cap and make a pledge to God that if he grants you something that you are. So he goes to make a personal request of God and then makes a pledge that he will build a cathedral. Then we are told that the nation, Ghana, must bear the cost. And you see, what irks me the most, Alfred, is that this was happening at a time when we were going through severe economic crisis. The president's position was that this project was the priority among priorities. That of all the things that we needed in Ghana, this was the most important. At a time when there was an audit report, a report from the Ghana Statistical Service that $8.5 million Ghanaians have gone to bed without eating one day.
You see, and this is what Dr. Zato, and I'll come to you, Solo, because seeing this and knowing today that the $97 million, which is the updated cost of the foundation works alone, that's the $97 million is what we spend on the foundation works, what we see there. This excludes the cost of reimbursing or compensating these companies who were located there.
The indication is that if you add those, then it will mean that the outstanding payment will be another $58 million if you add those.
Dr. Zato, how does all of this strike you? Because we're looking at the list of buildings. Judges' bungalows demolished, and we have that we put on the screen. Mali ambassador's residence demolished. Shraj deputy commissioner's residence demolished. Judicial training school demolished. Scholarship secretariat was demolished. Passport head office was demolished. Comsys IT Systems Limited building was demolished. And then the Waterstone Realty apartment complex. That's what I remember as well was demolished. They took us to court. And then now we're getting to know all of this detail. Dr. Zato?
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much. What I have said when it comes to these issues of investigation is the same thing I'm going to say again and again. And this is one thing that me and Solomon, you and I always agree on. I will never sit here or sit in the media and try to justify misuse of public funds. I will never sit in the media and say when the state investigative bodies or even the state's cohesive bodies are doing their legitimate work, that they shouldn't do it. I will never say that. If I believe or if I think that people's fundamental human rights are being abused, if I believe that the bail process is being weaponized, I will say it. If I believe that the investigative or cohesive positions are weaponizing their processes as a form of political equalization or victimization, I will talk about it. But the fact that state institutions have the power and the right to go out there and investigate this, and that includes the National Cathedral. So yes, I am happy that there are investigations going on, there's an audit going on. We've been promised some actions by the minister here. Yes, let everything go on. At the end of the day, any man or any woman who in the name of God, in the name of the Lord, misuses or abuses public resources or public money, that man or that woman should be made to face the Lord. They shouldn't wait for heaven or they shouldn't wait for judgment. I believe that. Look, I would never ever. I am sitting here today because of religion. I'm sitting here because of Catholicism. I'm sitting here because I attended a very good Catholic primary school, St. Gabriel's Schools in Tumu, one of the best schools there. I'm sitting here because I attended one of the best secondary schools in the whole country, St. Francis Xavier Junior Seminary. I saw what the Catholic Church has done and done to my life.
Hey, so yes. Charles is better.
Which Charles? Which Charles? Massa.
No, it's okay. Yeah, don't go there. No, it's all right.
St. Francis Xavier Junior Seminary, Lumen Splendid. We should let our light shine. As you can see, I'm doing that right now. You see? So look, as I said, do that. So for me, no. As I said, I'm not an auditor. I don't understand these figures very well. Let it be. If criminality is exposed, criminality is done, let the legal process take its course. Let people go to court, defend their innocence or their guilt inside there. I am not going to sit here and be an apology for any of those processes. Right. But I also want us to look at something then. The government has inherited this project. We've talked about this hole for 8 years, and legitimately so. Now, this hole now belongs to the government. It's now, yes, it's part of the assets and liabilities you inherit when you win power. What are you going to do with it? I still believe, if I was the president of Ghana, I would still build a national cathedral. Because I still believe that we have a national cathedral. The thing I would have done is to see whether we can make it a more of a multi-purpose national cathedral. One that attracts tourists. I've been to Rome. If you enter almost every cathedral in Rome now, there are no prayers there. Almost all of them are tourist sites. You will see ordinary tourist sites. People visit Rome just because of tourism sites. It's possible to have a multi-purpose cathedral where you can use some for conferences, you can use some as tourist sites, you can do that. In other words, we now have a hole. What can we do to make sure that that hole starts to pay for itself? That hole, it must have a value. The government can choose to close it down forever. The government can choose to just fill the hole and rebuild the things that are demolished. Whatever the government decides to do. My hope and prayer is that by the end of 4 years, we'll sit back and say, okay, this hole, the government has done better for this hole, and that this hole has given us a better value compared to what had happened. If we all do that, then all Ghanaians can say, thank you, Jesus Christ. What I'm praying and hoping is that the value and the status of this national cathedral will be better next year, next 2 years, so that we can come and say, so that at the end of, let's say, the 4 years of His Excellency President John Mahama, we will start and say, we have now added value here. We've not used it for something. As for it being a priority or no, who determines what is the national priority? Who determines? And as we said, whatever the president used to do with this, he is determining what the priority is. And so I must always get that clear. Somebody has to say, this is the priority. Somebody said building a cathedral and using it for religious was a priority. Now, it cannot be. So when the president decides, and I'm hoping that it is used to a better use, and as I said, I will still go for the cathedral. I will still hope that we build a cathedral, and I will still hope, because
not with public funds.
Why not? I'm still for it. If you can use public funds, we've used public funds to build things in this country that have turned out to be income generators. If you go to the Kwame Mausoleum, it was built with public funds. It's now generating money.
I see.
So for me personally, I'm telling you what I personally believe. I believe build a cathedral, but you make it a fun of multi-purpose cathedral. You can have a cathedral that have other things that will invite tourists. And I've just given an example.
All right.
Have you ever been to Rome? You will see. In fact, there are some cathedrals you go inside. It just is the edifice. People come there, and the Rome is one of the most visited places in the whole world, precisely because of its religious artifacts and religion. So you can do that.
Okay.
That is my personal view. I'm not saying anybody, but the point I'm trying to make is this. At the end of the day, we need to know, and I hope and pray, my hope and prayer is that 4 years down the line, when we come and sit here, if we are alive and we sit here, we can look back and say, okay, we took a hole that was almost, let me say, hopeless, or a financial hole.
Black hole.
Financial black hole. But that today, we have transformed that hole into something more sustainable, something more financially included, something that is beneficial to us.
Okay, thank you.
If we can do that, or if we are able to do that, then we have said that we have turned a bad situation into a good situation. But if at the end of the 4 years, we cannot say that. If at the end of the 4 years, we cannot say that value has been added to this project, that, let me say, a hopeless project has been revived, and its fortunes fundamentally turned to something good, then we will have failed.
Right.
Thanks for watching. Like and share the video. You can also drop your comment. Please don't forget to subscribe. Click on the bell to turn on the notification.